In South Korea, 4-year-olds take entrance exams. In Sweden, 7-year-olds walk through the forest alone. Both countries produce world-class students, but one has the highest suicide rate in the industrialized world. Today, we're putting two parenting philosophies head-to-head: Tiger Mom versus Free Range. And the data will surprise you. Let's start in Seoul. It's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. An 8-year-old named Ji-yeon is at her third study session of the day, Hagwon, Private Tutoring Academy, number 3. She's been learning since 8 a.m. That's 14 hours. She'll do this again tomorrow. This isn't an exception. This is normal. 47% of Korean children under the age of 6 attend private tutoring academies. 1 in 4 toddlers, kids under 2 years old, are already enrolled in what Koreans call cram schools, and it gets more intense from there. By elementary school, 8 out of 10 Korean students receive private tutoring. Average cost, $445 per month. In 2024, Korean parents spent $22.6 billion on private education, a new record. And it happened in a year when there were 80,000 fewer students in the system. The academic results are undeniable. Korea ranks first or second in the OECD in math, reading, and science. On the PISA exam, out of 81 countries, Korea places third in math, second in reading, second in science. So the system works, right? Here's what the numbers don't advertise. Korea ranks 27th out of 36 OECD countries in child well-being. Let that sink in. Top 3 in academics, bottom 10 in happiness. The suicide rate in South Korea is 24.8 per 100,000. That's more than double the OECD average, and it's getting worse among young people. Suicide attempts among middle school students rose from 3.6% to almost 6% in just 3 years. Only half of Korean elementary students get enough sleep. The other half are studying. A Korean education researcher recently wrote, "This isn't education. It borders on institutionalized child abuse." Preschool becomes the first battleground in a relentless academic arms race. There's even something called the 4-year-old exam. In Seoul's wealthy Gangnam district, elite English academies test preschoolers for admission. Children who can barely tie their shoes are being ranked. The Korean Tiger Mom didn't come from nowhere. It's a response to a system where your test score at 18 determines your entire career. One exam, the Sunung, decides which university you attend, which company hires you, who you can marry. The pressure is real. The results are real. But the cost is devastating. Now let's go somewhere very different. It's 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. An 8-year-old named Elsa puts on her rain jacket. She walks out the front door. Alone. She walks half a mile to school, through a forest. Her parents don't track her on an app. Nobody calls the police. This is also normal. In Sweden, children start school at age 6. Before that, preschool is play-based. No worksheets, no entrance exams, no rankings. 85% of 1 to 5-year-olds attend preschool, and most of their day is spent outside. Swedish preschoolers average 13 to 17 hours of outdoor time per week. In good weather, they're outside 6 hours a day. In winter, 90 minutes. Minimum. The Swedish saying is, "There's no bad weather, only bad clothing." This philosophy has a name, friluftsliv. It doesn't translate neatly into English. Roughly, open-air living. The idea that being in nature isn't a special activity, it's just life. And Swedish kids aren't just in nature, they're interacting with it, climbing trees, building fires, using saws, jumping across frozen streams. Scandinavian cultures actively encourage something called risky play. The idea is children who learn to manage real physical risk, heights, speed, tools, getting lost, develop better judgment, better coordination, better emotional regulation. A University of Copenhagen study found something fascinating. Children get more physical activity through free play in nature than through organized sports. When they're in a forest, they don't sit around waiting for their turn with the ball. They sprint, they climb, they dig, they never stop. And Sweden isn't sacrificing academic results for this freedom. Swedish students consistently score above the OECD average on PISA. Not Korea level, but strong. And here's the critical difference. They're performing well, without burning out. No significant homework in elementary grades. No private tutoring industry worth billions. Every student gets free lunch, free healthcare, access to school psychologists. The Swedish model bets on a simple idea. Children who learn to be independent will figure out how to learn anything. So we have two extremes. Korea, optimized for performance. Sweden, optimized for well-being. Who's right? The research has an answer. And it's not what you'd expect. In 2013, the American Psychological Association published a landmark study on tiger parenting.
They analyzed hundreds of Chinese American families and categorized parents into 4 styles.
The results? Supportive parents, high expectations, high warmth produced the best outcomes. Better grades, better emotional health, stronger relationships. Easygoing parents came second. Tiger parents, pushing hardest, emphasizing achievement above all, came third. Their children had lower GPAs, felt more alienated from their families. And harsh parents came last. Let me say that again. Tiger parenting, the method that fueled Korea's academic dominance, is less effective than just being supportive and present. Then there's the PISA well-being data. The OECD measured not just what students know, but how they feel. Korea's students reported among the lowest life satisfaction of any developed nation. Swedish students, near the top. And now the question every parent watching is asking. Not, which system produces better students? We know Korea wins that fight. But, which system produces happier, more successful adults 20 years later? There's a long-term OECD study that tracked exactly that. And the results are not what Korean tiger moms want to hear. Let's talk about what happens when the studying stops and real life begins. The OECD Adult Skills Survey measures how people actually function in the real world. Employment, income, life satisfaction, work-life balance. Korean adults earn more on average than Swedish adults. The investment in early education pays off in raw income. But Swedish adults report significantly higher life satisfaction, better work-life balance, more entrepreneurship, more time with family. And then there's the Sampo generation. Sampo means 3 giving ups. In Korea, there's a growing cohort of young adults who have given up on 3 things: dating, marriage, and children. Not because they don't want them, because they can't afford them. The same academic pressure that produced their credentials also produced an economy so competitive that a normal life feels impossible. 12 years of Hagwon, the Sunung exam, a top university degree. And at the end, you're 28, working 80-hour weeks, and you can't imagine adding a relationship to your life, let alone a child. Sweden's young adults face their own challenges, but the baseline is different. They grew up learning how to be alone in a forest, how to manage their own time, how to decide what matters to them, not what the system tells them to value. A 20-year longitudinal study found something remarkable. The single strongest predictor of adult well-being wasn't grades, wasn't test scores, wasn't university prestige. It was childhood autonomy. Children who were given independence, real, unstructured, sometimes risky freedom, grew into adults with better mental health, stronger relationships, higher career satisfaction, regardless of what country they grew up in. So, tiger mom versus free range. Which parenting style wins? The data doesn't give us a clean winner, but it gives us a direction. Sweden leads in quality of life. Korean children are optimized for performance. Swedish children are optimized for independence. And research says, independence plus emotional security beats academic pressure for long-term well-being. That doesn't mean the Korean approach is worthless. It means the pressure has to be paired with warmth. The expectations have to come with freedom. The best system, and this is what the data actually supports, is a hybrid. Take the Korean respect for education, the belief that learning matters, the community that shows up for children's success, and wrap it in Swedish space, unstructured hours, outdoor freedom, the right to fail small, early, and safely. Raise children who know how to work hard, and how to be alone in a forest, who can pass any exam, and know when to put the books down and go outside. The cultures that figure out this balance first will produce the most successful and the happiest generation in human history. Which system would you choose for your children? I'm genuinely curious. Drop your answer in the comments. Especially if you grew up in one of these cultures. Your experience matters more than my research. Next time, we're putting two completely different parenting philosophies head-to-head. France versus Japan. French children sit quietly through 4-course dinners. Japanese 6-year-olds ride the subway alone. Who raises more capable kids? Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.